Spoiler alert, you're gonna have a bad time. Undertale is a retro-style turn-based RPG set in some year between 2010 and 2019. It reveals the well-hidden secret of the world of monsters that live below our crust. Its core mechanic is that you can play it from start to finish without ever killing a single enemy. RPGs often offer some non-violent alternatives now and again, unfortunately. But this one was designed from the ground up to allow every conflict to end without any precious blood spilling. Needless to say, you'll have to make a couple of choices, and these decisions all interweave together to determine what sort of ending you'll get. There are dozens of possible endings, though most of them are all meaningless when you compare them to the one true path. Oh, so this is where they're hiding him. This is a very short game. You can beat this game in an afternoon, no problem, especially if you've already had your fill of interacting with objects or NPCs. If you know what you're doing, and this game almost insists that its players will know what they're doing, I would say blowing through this in about 3 hours would be very easy to do. It's kind of like Fable. I beat Fable so many times as a kid it just turned into a weekend ritual. Okay, I just got off the bus. Wow, I've got this whole weekend to do whatever I want. But first, I gotta do a slightly leaning evil run on Fable because I want to be a dick, but I don't want the horn. 7 hours later, I ate cold pizza and shot fireworks into my neighbor's yard because you do that at midnight one night out of the year. So why not tonight, just to get it over with? Turn-based RPGs aren't usually known for having very interactive gameplay, but this is where Undertale really sets itself apart from its brethren. Your attack turns are timing based, which isn't really anything new, but your enemies' attacks are where things get more interesting. It's at this point that the game goes from turn-based RPG to full-on bullet hell, and while most enemies' attacks aren't exceptionally difficult to avoid, there are some, particularly on the one true path, that are nightmares to fight. Every enemy attacks you in different ways, and the bosses in particular make for the most interesting battles. There's also some platforming, which would be great if you actually had a jump button. But instead, you jump by pushing up on the same control stick that you move with. It makes for some extremely awkward moments if you accidentally push the stick slightly diagonally. Great for those players who need to play with one hand, however, and believe me, there are a lot of Undertale fans who are doing this. Dating a skeleton might seem silly, but when you really sit down to think about it, you've always been dating skeletons. It's obvious that this game won't be winning any Best Graphics awards, at least not without some significant time travel ability. The music is also top-notch, ranging from raging battle anthems to peaceful melodies. We've had a long time to figure out how to make retro-sounding video game music, and this is a good culmination of all that knowledge. This game has the deepest lore. The characters are memorable to say the least, whether you're befriending them or slaughtering them. You get to meet dogs, fish folk, goats, frog things, bodybuilding seahorses, ghosts, Tumblr users, airplanes, and of course, skeletons. Everyone is absolutely overflowing with quirks and likable traits. Though many of the characters are afflicted with the so stupid they can't possibly survive syndrome, the game's actual story segments are quite sentimental despite how silly much of the game is. It's common to see a tragic moment only to have a joke thrown at you immediately afterward. The game is overall quite absurd and surreal, but the jokes seem to have been generally constructed with the understanding that a large amount of humor is steeped in schadenfreude or actual irony rather than simply making references to existing humorous things. Like this. The one thing that makes this game so especially appealing, however, is that it tells its story by using its gameplay. The gameplay is used to piece things together, and there's an overall feeling that the fourth wall was never even present in the game at all. Characters will mention that they sense something familiar if you've already beaten the game before. Bosses will crash the game to the desktop faster than any source game could ever hope to. The game remembers the choices you made in previous playthroughs and refuses to forget them without some significant effort on the player's part. Because of this, it tells a story that no other form of narrative could possibly tell. Many games seek to tell stories that could just as easily be told through film or prose, but this game tells a story that can really only be told interactively, and it uses all the tricks and tools it can to immerse you. It's the sort of story a game is meant to tell, if any at all, and that's what works best about it.